Comcast. Damn it, Marvel. You've got every studio thinking they can pull off this look at all the stuff we made legacy logo bullshit. Calm down, DreamWorks. You've already got 3 Boss Baby scenes in this uninspired collage for Shrek's sake.
So which is the sin here, the logo being like Marvel, or that there are 3 Boss Baby scenes? I know Boss Baby is low-hanging fruit for DreamWorks haters, but if you're going to sin for quantity, Turbo and Abominable are represented at least 4 times in the footage you're showing, and so are the Penguins of Madagascar if you count their appearance in this clip for Madagascar 3.
Also, a total of 45 seconds of logos, most of which are solely an excuse for the DreamWorks overlords to blow each other. Now that they've all finished and cleaned up, we can finally start the show.
Jeremy makes a disgusting remark that no one asked for cliché in a logo duration sin that no one asked for.
Once upon a time, there were 2 trolls.
Once upon a time narration cliche. And after consulting the official Book of Sins, I believe that adds up to be roughly, carry the 5, solve for P, cross, multiply.
Skip.
Damn it, I was not alerted to take a massive amount of drugs before the beginning of this movie, and I'm very angry that I now have to pause it for approximately 37 minutes.
Ah, now we see why Jeremy's ability to sin movies has gotten worse. Don't do drugs, people. You don't want to end up so brain-wrecked that you mistake anything for a Deus Ex Machina.
This techno-troll raid was about as awkwardly misplaced as the dance orgy in The Matrix Reloaded.
Jeremy makes an unwarranted reference to popular culture cliché.
Queen Barb of the hard rock trolls.
Nonsense. Everyone knows that rock's been dead since the advent of nu metal 25 years ago.
Wouldn't that be a sin for nu metal? No offense to anyone who likes Korn and Slipknot, but I'm more of an 80s glam rock, 90s soft rock, and grunge guy myself.
Just a reminder, this entire musical battle with crystal clear stereo fidelity is happening underwater.
Just a reminder, this is a cartoon fantasy world where trolls have magical powers tied to music.
They're Scott Pilgriming the techno-trolls. Are these rock assholes one of the 7 evil X's?
And so soon after the last one, Jeremy makes an unwarranted reference to popular culture cliché.
You know how Hamilton starts off with a musical number about the protagonist and gives you pretty much all the background you need to start in on an engaging story? Yeah, the first 5 minutes of this movie is the polar opposite of that.
Well, there's not a lot of this sequence that you're allowed to show anyway without getting copyright claimed, so you didn't show everything that does give background to these pop trolls. Like the fact that it's established during the sequence that Branch has a crush on Poppy, and that the pop trolls themselves live in a very happy way. This also adds to the feeling of bleakness later when it's shown that Barb had attacked Pop Village.
Dude, even Justin Timberlake's avatar here looks like he's bored with just going through the motions in this sequel for another paycheck. Pep it up, JT.
I don't understand what gives you that impression when A, Justin enjoys working on these movies as shown in behind-the-scenes material, and B, the expressions and motions of the characters are mapped digitally, so their ability to act is only limited by the animators at DreamWorks, who I think go underappreciated.
Kids.
Jeremy expresses his disdain for kids cliché.
Also, this is a worse cop-out for explaining reproduction than the f***ing stork story, man. Some kid is going to walk out here with her pregnant mom and ask why her head isn't getting any bigger.
Jeremy, I think any kid smart enough to know what pregnancy means would know that humans don't hatch from eggs, let alone out of a mother's head.
That was some fancy footwork, Cooper.
Some people just got it.
You know, these assholes go out of their way to switch person, people, girl, boy, and so on for the blanket name troll for their species. So when they do refer to themselves as people, what are we supposed to think? Do they do other human things like poop, or go through puberty, or become tax attorneys?
The use of the word people does not necessarily limit the subject of any sentence to a single species, even if in our world there's only one species that is sapient enough to fit what we would call people. But across all of these films, we have seen other sapient species besides trolls, like the Bergens, Vacationers, and the Mount Ragans.
It's a story as old as time.
Is it also a song as old as rhyme? Were they barely even friends and then somebody bent unexpectedly? Because I love it when people unexpectedly bend all of a sudden.
Jeremy makes an unwarranted Beauty and the Beast reference to popular culture cliché.
They took 6 strings, and those 6 strings had the power to control all music.
So we're going full Lord of the Strings with our mythos then, eh? Which one is this? The Fellowship of the String? The Troll Towers? Return of the Multiple Endings?
Jeremy makes an unwarranted Middle-earth reference to popular culture cliché.
Also, this has never come up before. It's almost like the MCU deciding halfway through their run that Infinity Stones were the most important thing in the world, but they were never mentioned until, like, Thor the Dark World.
Just because the Infinity Stones weren't mentioned by name until Thor the Dark World doesn't mean they weren't important to the MCU's Infinity Saga. They were important as far back as the 5th film, Captain America the First Avenger, with the Space Stone and the Tesseract.
Techno, funk, classical, country, hard rock, and pop.
Ah yes, the generally agreed upon 6 major musical genres. Let me hip-hop on over to Wikipedia to see if you wrapped up all the major sellers. Yeah, everything looks R&B. I mean A-OK.
This is another instance of you talking over what a character is saying that explains the very thing you're questioning or criticizing. Peppy does say that the strings can play every kind of music in between.
They took 6 strings, And those 6 strings had the power to control all music. They could play anything. Techno, funk, classical, country, hard rock, and pop. And every kind of music in between.
The truth is that many of the other subgenres of music that this movie shows, mentions, or implies are derivative of one or more of the genres represented by the strings. For example, the K-pop trolls that we see later are derivative of the standard pop trolls, explaining their similar physical characteristics. And jazz is very reliant on musical instruments like the classical genre, possibly explaining why Chaz can levitate much like the winged classical trolls.
That's why we need to keep our strings safe.
Wait, this has been here hidden only by a thin curtain this whole time? No one has noticed this in Pop Village since the dawn of trolldom?
Pop Village didn't even exist at the dawn of trolldom. Did you forget that this tribe of pop trolls used to live in a tree at the center of Bergentown in the last movie? They most likely brought the string with them during the escape.
They just left the ancient super secret scroll out on the rock? The security in this village is so shitty, I'm wondering why they haven't been invaded and occupied before now.
Again, the pop trolls used to live in the Bergen's troll tree. None of the other tribes of music trolls would have gone invading them for their string unless they had a death wish. Add on to the fact that they re-established Pop Village in the middle of a jungle, and that the tribes have been separated for a very long time, it makes sense why it took so long for Barb to know when and where to invade. And don't think I forgot about that f***ing laugh.
Goodbye.
Remind me why we care about this c***o's journey again? I'm convinced the actual leads in this movie have about 6 lines of dialogue apiece.
Because Cooper is a funk troll. This film explains why he was the only troll like him that we saw in the first film, because later we see the tribe that he came from. This also ties into the film's moral lesson about identity and how heritage and differences should not be foregone for the sake of equality.
Only 4 more strings to go until rock unites the world.
I like how this movie presents rock as the primary antagonist. Makes me feel nostalgic like Dee Snider's about to appear before a Senate subcommittee and lambast Tipper Gore.
Jeremy sins something he likes and spouts nonsense that has nothing to do with the movie cliche.
That's just my man stuff.
I love man stuff.
Once again, why the gender specificity? I thought they were all just trolls, damn it. If they function like humans, why did Glitter Troll, who's supposed to be male, give birth to Tiny Diamond?
During the production of this movie, it was going to be Cloud Guy who spawned a child out of himself, but they changed it to Guy Diamond for whatever reason. The original version would have made more sense, as all of the other troll eggs that we see in this film hatched into trolls that are babies, like Poppy in the first film, instead of being just shrunken down adults like Tiny Diamond. Guy Diamond is the only male troll that we've seen do this, so either he wasn't always Guy Diamond, if you know what I'm saying, or he found a lady troll and was holding their egg in his hair, like how an emperor penguin father hatches the egg of its chick on its feet.
Also, I may or may not have listened to Andrew Kendrick say I love man stuff over 10 times in a row with my eyes closed right now. I have issues.
Look, I get it. Anna is really hot, but bro, keep that to yourself. Also, Jeremy sent something he likes cliche.
You may want to take a look at this.
Normally I'd just do a regular sin for this, you better come take a look at this cliche. But it's even worse that it's already directly in Poppy's line of sight. One extra, you assholes.
You just showed and sinned Poppy and Branch being distracted by their conversation about his man stuff. They weren't paying attention to what was coming into view in front of the balloon, and Biggie waited until now to interrupt them about it.
Something gnarly happened here.
You think? Branch is about as helpful as Forrest Whitaker's empath character from Species.
This movie, that movie, unwarranted reference cliche.
She took everyone.
Why is that? Don't they just need the magical strings? And where the hell did they have the room on those ships to stow everyone?
Because Barb wants to turn them all into rock zombie trolls later at the concert, and she brought enough ships to carry them.
What is this? Pop trolls?
Yes, the one group you apparently sent an invitation instead of just straight up attacking. An invitation you sent with this very bat, so I'm confused at your confusion.
How do you know Barb sent a letter to only the pop trolls? While King Trollex and Trolls Art seem surprised by the arrival of the Hard Rock Trolls, suggesting that they were never sent letters or just never got them, Delta Dawn says later that she knows about Barb's world tour, so we know that the Country Trolls were sent one. Barb just wasn't expecting to receive a response to any of the letters, let alone from the Pop Trolls.
Oh, I need that pop string. And I know who's gonna help me. The most feared bounty hunters in all of trolldom.
Why does Barb need bounty hunters? She's been beating the shit out of all the other villages so far. What makes her think the weenie-ass Pop Village would put up a fight?
Barb is not hiring these bounty hunters to attack the villages. She's doing that as she's traveling through trolldom. The bounty hunters were hired to locate Poppy and the string because they're on the move.
The K-pop gang.
Yes, K-pop fans are notoriously great trolls, but why wouldn't they be a segment of the pop tribe? The word pop is literally right there in the name.
As I explained earlier, they are a segment of the Pop Trolls, But since Peppy had isolated the main tribe from all other varieties of troll to the point of Pop Village not knowing that they weren't the only ones, these K-pop trolls have lived separately from them.
Movie wastes a badass Kelly Clarkson performance of a pretty good song by putting it in this movie.
Jeremy sins something he likes, cliche.
As the pop trolls are doing this medley of a bunch of songs from the last 20 years, except for the Spice Girls Wannabe, which rules my ass, I'm reminded that at least this lockdown has spared us any more iterations of that history of rap bit on Jimmy Fallon's show that has been run into the ground, smashed by a steamroller, and then urinated upon by an angry armadillo.
I'll admit, Jeremy, I agree with your sentiment here about the state of music over the last 20 years, even if the songs DreamWorks chose here are at least good enough to be tolerable in my opinion. But then you had to date this video by bringing up the lockdown caused by the COVID-19 pandemic. And top that off with spouting nonsense that has nothing to do with the movie cliche.
Did this movie just make a Tremors reference? Because honestly, I'd prefer to be swallowed by a graboid right now rather than have to watch any more of this nonsense.
Jeremy points out pop culture references in the movie cliche.
Well, hope pop trolls can swim.
Hickory apparently went to the wild Ethelbert Coyote School of Delayed Gravitying things.
I'm not even going to sin Jeremy for not understanding that this is a cartoon fantasy world that is more whimsical than most other DreamWorks franchises, and instead sin him for another pop culture reference. I don't know which one's more tiring at this point.
Poppy?
I can't feel my face.
This abominable mix of Kenny G and Christian Grey apparently shoots narcotics from his whistle horn, and now I'm starting to think this is a kids movie that actively promotes sex, drugs, and challenging authority, and that is for European kids movies, damn it.
But this is a DreamWorks movie. While they have a history of verging on less than family-friendly topics, they never cross the line of actively promoting them for the sake of their child audience. Except for challenging authority because they were literally founded as a fuck you to the House of Mouse's dominance over animation.
And who are you supposed to be, Cowboy Pants?
Even if he's in a sort of disguise, how the hell does Chaz not recognize one of the only other bounty hunters in the Trollverse?
The movie never said that Chaz, the reggaeton, K-pop, and yodeler trolls were the only bounty hunters that exist in this world. They were just the 4 groups that Barb was able to hire on short notice. And this scene proves that you've seen ahead in this movie and know that Hickory is actually the yodelers in disguise. We never saw them attend the meeting, that you cut out, where Barb assigned the rest of the bounty hunters to capture Poppy and the string. So it's likely that Chaz had never met the yodelers until now.
You made a pinky promise to me, Queen Poppy, and you broke it.
Did she, though? She promised that she would protect you no matter what, and as of now, you're still just fine. So really, that promise seems to me to be fully intact until you're dead. So either die or shut your wine hole, you overgrown smurf.
While I do believe that Biggie's frustration went too far here, considering that there was nothing Poppy could have done to stop Chaz from hypnotizing them, he is technically right. Chaz would have handed them over to Barb were it not for Hickory's intervention, and Poppy is both unappreciative and doesn't take responsibility for the fact that this entire mission that got them in danger was her idea. As much as she cares about Biggie, Poppy never should have guaranteed his safety in the first place, but did so because she expected the mission to go her way instead of considering what everyone else wanted. Branch even calls her out on this later in the movie.
How is this possible?
Well, it's a very complicated story.
One that we somehow have time to tell. Since the A story is roughly 22 minutes long, and we thought that we needed to stretch to feature length to make a mint at the box office, but then yada yada yada, there won't be a third one of these.
Irony.
I want you to meet the king and queen of funk.
Why do some territories have a king but others don't? Is there a king of pop? Why is no one mentioning the king of pop?
There was. Peppy was the king of pop, but since he had no sons, he handed over sovereignty of the pop troll tribe to his only living daughter, until Viva gets retconned, which is why Poppy is the queen of pop.
I think your map is a bit outdated.
Oh, he's right. Look at that. It still has disco.
It most assuredly does not. When we first learned of the story of the strings, there were only 6, and they were divided into techno, funk, classical, country, hard rock, and pop. And the strings they represent are the whole basis of this story. Sure, the king was lying about the background, but they're looking at the map he presented them.
Again, the strings can play every kind of music in between, not just the 6 genres they represent. Disco has origins in both pop and funk, so this implies that like the bounty hunters, there are, or rather were, disco trolls.
Dude, is it just me, or has this expositional funk song been going on for like 48% of the entire movie?
That would be a sin if it were literally the case, but don't BS your audience, Jeremy. Just like with the studio logos, we all know that your real problem isn't the length of the exposition.
Denying our differences is denying the truth of who we are.
How did they get George Clinton to voice this shit? Seriously, did they pay him in a boatload of multicolored robes and purple kush?
Sinning something you like while not paying attention to one of the important messages of the film.
How the hell did the rock assholes find the funk trolls? They're not even in their designated land, man. They're in a mobile goddamn spaceship.
Looking at that map again, Poppy and her friends went down the river from the land of the country trolls into this land for the funk trolls, so they are in their land. As for how the hard rock trolls managed to find the ship, it's funking huge and plays f*** music. Oh, wait, reverse that.
I don't even know why we're friends.
Neither do I.
I mean, probably for the same reason you're experiencing this forced relationship split about 2/3 of the way into the movie. Plot mechanics.
Calling this relationship split forced. As I briefly mentioned earlier, and as shown in the footage you cut out, Branch had an argument with Poppy because she was too arrogant to consider the differences of the other troll tribes, and wanted to treat them all like they were the same as the Pop Trolls.
Poppy, enough! I've listened to you, and I've done it your way, and now it's your turn to listen. It's time to get back home.
I'm not like you. I can't just give up.
Give up? I want to protect our friends and family.
I can't go home until I've proven myself as a good queen.
So that's what this is really all about.
Why are you so upset?
Because your dad was right, and Biggie was right, and Queen Essence was right, and I've been backing you up, even when you ignore them. But you never listen to me.
Branch, what are you talking about?
You want to be a good queen? Good queens actually listen. You know what I heard back there? Differences do matter.
Oh look, there's Branch singing a sad song after he had a superficial beef with Poppy that will almost immediately be squashed. It's almost like I haven't seen this in every animated kids movie in the last 25 years.
Not only do you, again, fail to grasp the emotional weight of a scene like this and call it superficial, Sinning perfect for me, which is even sadder than the True Colors scene in the first movie, and even made me cry. 20 sins!
If you want him, you're going to have to dance for him.
So both of these bounty hunter groups were able to track Branch down, but their main target, Queen Poppy, is like steps away and they're seriously fighting over who gets to keep the wrong guy?
Because they believe Branch can lead them to Poppy, who is not actually steps away. She and Branch went in opposite directions and put a lot of distance between each other in the time since their argument.
All music should be saved.
All right, okay. I'm listening, Pop Troll.
So that's all it took to convince these hardened bounty hunters? Nobody's ever mentioned this to them before?
These trolls are bounty hunters. They only cared about their own interests, which was to save their music. You also cut out a part of this scene that explains why they decided to turn against Barb. Branch got them to question their loyalty to her.
Why does Barb get to decide which music gets to be saved? All music should be saved.
The final notes of pop. It will never invade anyone's brain again.
Turns out these strings are easier to find than mother boxes.
Jeremy makes an unwarranted reference to Pop.
Leave you alone? I'm sorry, you were the one who was all desperate to be best friends.
Sure, but you were the one who apparently burnt the invitation, only to later carry around with you just in case you needed to make this point.
It's called rubbing it in someone's face, Jeremy. This is a villain who wants to break down her victim on a psychological level before she's done with them. In other words, Barb is a bitch.
I've got to go back.
Jesus, this whole movie is travel, 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 sing, 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 trippy, trippy, talk, talk, travel, travel, travel. And I've suddenly developed a longing for the actual linear narrative of the first movie.
A channel called CinemaSins doesn't know what a linear narrative is. A linear narrative is described as events being shown to take place in chronological order. Both Trolls movies up to this point have been generally linear, aside from a few flashbacks, like when Creek begged for his life not to get eaten and sell out the other Trolls, and Penny Whistle's telling of when the Hard Rock Trolls attacked the classical Trolls. The multiple instances of traveling and singing have nothing to do with the narrative structure of the movie.
Who is in charge of cell design in this place? Because that's some piss-poor cell bar construction if you're actually trying to keep something in there.
Jeremy questions the cell bars' ability to contain Poppy while showing video evidence that her head is too wide to fit through them.
Is you blind? Play the ultimate power chord and then... you'll see!
Rock tease.
Haha, boner joke.
I'd give all the synths back if Barb just started playing God Gave Rock and Roll to You, like they did at the end of Bill and Ted's Bogus Journey. I don't care if it's the Argent, Kiss, or even the Petra version.
No, you wouldn't. And as good as all those versions of that song are, they're too soft for what Barb is going for here with Barracuda.
Who wants to see what the ultimate power chord can do?
Considering this is all new territory, I'm curious how you even know what it would do, or even that it exists in the first place.
This is why you should have paid attention to that exposition scene from the Funk Trolls earlier. The lyrics of their song mentioned warning signs when they told Poppy about the Pop Trolls in the past monopolizing control of the strings. The elders of the other troll tribes knew that Pop could potentially use the strings to turn them all into Pop Trolls, hence how Barb would know that it could do the same for Hard Rock Trolls. This explains why each tribe took their string and went their separate ways, and why the Pop Trolls had the strings' original harp shown at the beginning of the movie.
So, to summarize the last few minutes of the movie, Barb is turning all the non-rock trolls into rock zombie trolls, and I guarantee you it's only so they can merchandise some goth trolls to vulnerable kids after this came out.
Who gives a shit? This look is dope and I need a toy of it because I'm a vulnerable adult when it comes to merchandise.
Who wants to party? Without smiling.
This line would be a lot funnier if the shot didn't immediately cut to a bunch of the rock trolls all currently smiling.
Sitting this line delivery for any reason. It lives rent-free in my head.
In a second, you'll find out she's faking this. That's right, she's somehow faking a completely changed outfit and glowing red eyes. Feel free to just go with it, but I've got a job to do here.
God damn, we're still sitting this scene? Okay then, Poppy wasn't fully converted into a rock zombie because she put gumdrops in her ears to block out the sound of the ultimate power cord. It stands to reason then that the zap can give any troll the appearance and abilities of a rock zombie, but it must be audible in order to override their free will. The real sin is that this works. I would know. I saw Poison, Def Leppard, and Motley Crue in concert a few years ago, and that vibrated throughout my entire body. You will hear it no matter how good your earplugs are.
That's right, the music was in you the whole time, and not a single bit of this entire movie mattered. Sure, I'm glad we spent all that time going over the history of strings and such.
And this misunderstanding is why the Trolls movies are actually good. It's better that the Trolls do learn that each of their types of music were always inside them, because the most emotionally impactful moments in any story are not driven by tangible things, but rather intangible qualities that grow the characters or represent something to the viewer. The first movie did this with how the Bergens were able to find happiness, this movie did it with learning to embrace other people despite their differences, and the third one does it with family.
It's all right, Barbara. Just let everyone be what they want to be.
Seems like Daddy Ozzy's been on board with this plan all along, so why'd he let Barb run amok this long? Hell, she was 2 gumdrops away from f***ing the whole world up.
This is open admittance that you knew why Poppy wasn't fully converted into a rock zombie, but pretended not to know anyway to bullshit the sin out of it. And it's even more egregious based on what you said in Sin 67.
Gumdrops. Soundproof and delicious.
Gumdrop shadowing. You know, I was going to take a sin off for the good message of merging all the types of music into...
And let me stop you right there. No, you weren't.
Shall we?
Wow, that's intimate. I'm pretty sure this is the troll version of anal.
Jeremy makes a disgusting remark that no one asked for, cliche.
Closing credits contain no Can't Stop the Feeling.
Oh, you like that song, huh? That's not what the last video said.
Also, it's obvious this entire movie was just a setup for this song, which was released 6 f***ing months before this movie came out, in a cheap grab for the Song of the Summer in 2016.
Ha! You've been caught flip-flopping. Take that, insert name of U.S. politician here.
Rabble, rabble, you taught your dress. Rabble, rabble, face is a mess.
What have you done? You've destroyed music.